You are. Good Friday, after Mauve Thursday, and Chartreuse Wednesday. Chartreuse Wednesday was interesting because I kind of died that day. Um, I experienced as Dr. Quigley would say, the hope and the tragedy. But I'm still here. And this morning, I kind of had a revelation because every morning I wake up dead, and kind of wake up, open my eyes, and it's so dark in the man cave I can't see anything, so I don't know whether I'm blind or just can't see anything because it's so dark. And then I take a breath, and then I realize I'm not breathing, and so I say, "Oh, you better start breathing." So and that's when I start feeling all the pain in my body, and because I'm pushing 80 now, and I have had quite a life. If you watch this show here, I've had quite a life. So I've probably died 100 times, but really only 10. I mean, really only 7 real-time deaths, meaning when I was outside my body, looking down at the crumpled body and going, oh, look, I wonder who that is. Or I'd be someplace like the basement of my first grade. I stuck the photo in the back. I'm going to get it. I'll show it to you later. Anyway, I got murdered by a Nazi nun, and I've told you that story. And I died in 2014, and I died in a plate of spaghetti in a mobster fancy bar in Miami. And I was surrounded by desperate lawyers. We're making 9-figure salaries, and was living paycheck to paycheck. It's like, ooh, that's kind of overextending yourself when you do that. Right? So, and that's kind of where we're living in that society, that culture of
spying charges exactly a year ago. The former US ambassador to NATO, Kurt Volker, told this program a prisoner trade was the wrong way to secure his freedom.
If you remember the case of Brittany Griner, we bargained for her and we released Victor Bout, a notorious arms dealer. Then they took Gershkovich. We have to be very careful not to get into this negotiating for hostages because it only results in more hostages.
Also, the CEO of Aleppo and the Chinese technology firm Huawei says despite US sanctions.
Ooh, kind of like Russia, they're doing better than they ever have because it forced them, instead of buying from outside, it forced them to make
this is James Menendez
their crap.
News. COVID-19 officially claimed 7 million lives and cost the world economy some $2 trillion. As it abated, almost all countries agreed that the world needed to come together to prepare for and try to prevent the next pandemic.
How'd that
for the
work?
last 2 years,
How are they
members
doing with that?
of the World Health Organization have been working on a pandemic agreement.
Oh.
But with a deadline looming next month, there's still no sign of a consensus.
Why is there a
after
deadline
month
next month? Why can't it be the month after? The month after, right?
In Geneva.
Get it done.
Nina Schwab is founder of the public health think tank Spark Street at New York. So what is the agreement meant to do?
Pandemic treaty is about countries' obligations to each other before, during, and after a pandemic so that everyone everywhere is better protected next time.
Is that what it really is? I don't know.
This is a very good product. Don't miss out on it. Don't wait until the day you need it. Use it now or never.
Use it
Hey
now or
everybody,
never.
Peter Zion here, coming
Peter
to you
Zion.
from
My
a
buddy Pete.
beach. I love a good beach. Today we're going to dip into one of the Ask Peter questions. I'm going to drop that into our open-ended series on things that I worry or don't worry about. This is definitely something I do worry about. The question is, in this demographic shift that we're experiencing as populations age and shrink, what do I think is the future of higher education in the United States? And the short version is, it doesn't look very good and things are going to have to change. So let me give you a little bit of backdrop and then we'll talk about the concerns. When the baby boomers started entering the workforce in the late 60s, they discovered that they pushed down the cost of labor. This is one of the reasons why the baby boomers have a reputation for being very mobile because they would move wherever there's a job they could. Hi, my name is Mark Biernot. I'm a monetary economist. In this video, I want to talk about Russia. Russia produces nothing. That's my claim. As an academic economist, I look at data all day long. I'm a data scientist. And one thing I can say is I can't trust any data coming out of Russia. Just because they have numbers, just because it's on the web, just because it's published by an official institution in Russia, doesn't mean it's true. I look at numbers all day long. There's good numbers and bad numbers.
Good numbers
That's why I
and bad
like my
numbers.
job.
You heard it
There's
from
nothing
this
to be
guy.
stressed about. It's just numbers.
You heard it from this
And
guy.
the
Good or
data
bad numbers.
coming out of Russia cannot be relied on.
Oh, can't rely on it.
What we have to do is we have to back and at Russia from a different perspective.
Yeah.
From a primary source perspective. And I invite any of you who have ever been to Russia to give me your feedback. I've been to Russia. And
How many
my
times?
subjective experience, the economy, it's a whole. Let me explain. There's three sectors in the economy. You can divide in a lot of ways, 4 or 5 ways. But if you say there's a primary sector, a secondary sector, and a third sector, the primary being
You should call it
agriculture,
tertiary.
fishing, and extraction of minerals. The secondary sector being manufacturing. The third being high-level functioning, technology, services, etc. Russia is exploitive in terms of the environment. All they do is extract. Here's an example. I don't know if you can see this. It's the only thing I own from Russia. It's a site. I bought it a few years ago. Doesn't compare to this. This is a 100-year-old sickle made in Reading, Pennsylvania. Okay, you can see the inscription here. It's the Colcott Company. It is eons better than Russian steel. This thing is basically, I'm always sharpening it, and it's almost chipping. Hi, my name is Mark Biernot. I'm a monetary economist. In this video, I want to
His name is Mark Biernut. You really going to?
talk about Russian oil. What is the impact
So this guy's
for
a
the world
scholastic.
of Russian oil? Because right now, there are embargoes, there are sanctions, there are boycotts. Russian oil, it seems like Russia, they say, is the gas station of the world. Is it really? Does it have an impact? What is the significance? What if we just turn that gas station of Russia off for geopolitical reasons? What would be the impact on the world? Put it in
Here's the
perspective
impact
right
on the world.
now.
France is day 765 of the unprovoked Russian invasion of Ukraine, and just a while ago several massive terrorist strikes hit the Ukrainian power grid. We have reports about blackouts in Dnipro region, also Poltava and Cherkasy. The Russian terrorists used ballistic missiles for this attack, including hypersonic Kinjal missiles, as well as cruise missiles launched by Strategic Aviation, and numerous Iranian Shahed drones, which are now being produced in big numbers at a recently built Russian military.
I do this so you don't have to. So if you're on Donald Trump's list of
That's
phone
right.
numbers,
I
the
do this
text
so you
messages,
don't have
this
to.
is what you receive. Probably about a dozen messages like this over and over again throughout Thursday evening. Messages like this. From Trump, don't let Obama spit in your face. Tomorrow they aim to humiliate us. It's bad how we respond. Then they give the website to donate money to Donald Trump. Then another text message from Trump. Obama hates you. Tomorrow he's holding a massive fundraiser for Biden. Huge MAGA response needed now. And then gives link to give money to Donald Trump. From Trump, tonight all hell breaks loose. Obama-Biden fundraiser is hours away. It's bad. Here is my response. Meanwhile, they then have Don Jr. emailing you. It's a special memo from Don Jr. And then it goes, Ben, the radical anti-Trump attorney general in New York, wanted to seize my...
Yeah.
If you want to know what it looks like when a certain presidential candidate is mired in a bottomless pit of financial troubles, here you go.
I'm proud to be partnered with my very good friend Lee Greenwood Who doesn't love his song, God Bless the USA, in connection with promoting the God Bless the USA Bible? This Bible is the King James Version and also includes our founding father documents. Yes, the Constitution, which I'm fighting for every single day. Christians are under siege. We must protect content that is pro-God. We love God. I'm proud
We
to
love God.
endorse
Yes,
and
we do.
encourage you to get this Bible. We must make America pray again. I think you all should
Right
get a
on the
copy
front of it,
God
it
Bless
says Trump's
the USA
Bible.
Bible now and help spread our Christian values with others.
That's right. Donald Trump is out there hawking a $60 Bible that he himself endorsed. What he's basically telling
His name
Christians
is
in this
on it,
country
Trump.
is that your Bibles are no good because they don't have the endorsement of Trump. Apparently, the word of God isn't enough these days unless it's been given the green light by a higher power, Trump himself. And if that's this, the idea that all of your existing Bibles are subpar because the true deity is Donald Trump, yeah, I'd say you're right. Now, there are two issues at play here: Trump's financial troubles and his perversion of Christianity.
Jesus Christ inspires us to love one another. I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and I wouldn't lose any voters. With hearts full of generosity and grace. Why do I have to ask for forgiveness if you're not making mistakes? Scripture teaches us the Lord is close to the brokenhearted. If you see somebody getting ready to throw a tomato, knock the crap out of them. I cherish women, and I will be great on women's health issues. When you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything. Whatever you want. Grab them by the... My favorite book is the Bible. My second favorite book is The Art of the Deal. And it's not even close. Actually, I was only kidding. You can get the baby out of here. 2 Corinthians, right? 2 Corinthians 3:17. That's the whole ball game.
You can do anything. You can do anything. That's what you said, correct?
Well, historically, that's true with stars. Not always, but largely true. Unfortunately or fortunately.
So let's take on the money problems first. I know that Donald Trump grifting his supporters is nothing new. The fact that he's doing it now with so much frequency and desperation is because the guy is desperate for cash. He's already found a broker somehow to put up a $90 million bond for his E. Jean Carroll verdict, and he's currently in the process of finding a broker willing to put up $175 million for the New York fraud verdict, down from $464 million. And while Trump may claim that he's liquid, I don't think he's exactly convincing anyone by hawking Bibles and sneakers and NFTs in his spare time. And it's only going to get worse for him. He begins his first criminal trial on April 15th, which means a possible money judgment and legal fees. Not to mention the mounting legal fees and attorney's fees from the other 3 criminal trials he's contending with in Florida, Georgia, and Washington, D.C. All of which is to say there will come a time where he'll look back on what he owes today and yearn for the days where he's only in the hole $200 million.
People are still talking about this. Former President Trump is now trying to make money by selling $60 Bibles. Trump selling the Bible, yeah. It's like if Mike Pence was selling copies of 50 Shades of Grey, you know?
Yep, the guy who's about to go on trial for paying hush money to cover up an affair with a porn star is selling Bibles. And because it's a Trump Bible, most of the 10 Commandments are blacked out.
This has come as no surprise to anyone. Making a profit is Trump's religion. As his Jesus famously said, "It is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle if you pay me 4 easy installments of $19.95. Act now, disciples are standing by."
It's just, welcome back to Morning Joe.
No, wait. Crocus Concert Hall lasted for almost an hour.
It was Friday evening when the attackers went on their rampage, firing at people point blank, eyewitnesses say, killing men, women, and children, then setting the concert hall ablaze.
An ISIS affiliate known as ISIS-K has taken responsibility.
It's really a wake-up call that they have the capacity to do such horrific things.
So what is ISIS-K and why attack Moscow?
Oh, what is it? I don't know.
To understand why this ISIS affiliate hates Russia, you really need to understand.
Russia is under attack. On Friday, 22nd March, terror was unleashed in Moscow when a group of terrorists stormed the Crocus City Hall, a major concert hall The attack took place around 8 p.m. when a concert of the Russian rock band Picnic was about to start. There were more than 6,000 people at the venue when a group of armed men allegedly got out of this white Renault symbol you are seeing on screen and headed towards the main entrance of the concert hall. Moments later, the attackers' Saiga machine guns began to be heard. Curious fact, the machine guns had double magazines fastened with insulating tape, which is what is known as Afghan configuration. As you could probably guess, it got that name precisely because it was a setup widely used in Afghanistan. Visual politic community, there is no doubt the attackers wanted to carry out a massive slaughter, which is exactly what they did. From the entrance, the terrorists moved into the lobby and then into the auditorium, firing point blank at everything in front of them. Not only that, they also used flammable liquids to set the building on fire. The result, at least 137.
Oh, and here it is, Easter week, right? So they did that on and so I was gonna do I did a show yesterday, and let's see. I am live. So yesterday's show is a life worth living, right? What is a life worth living, right? Was born around Christmas Day and lived for about 30 years. And he was always on the bop, you know. When the three kings went and told the Jewish icon in Nazareth, you know, that Jesus was going to be born, he wanted to get rid of him. So he just kept knocking off kids in that time zone and just kept going after him. So that was a lot of blood. And you have to realize that virtually everything from the beginning till Exodus in the Old Testament is basically the story of the children of Adam and Eve, right? Until they aren't Jews or Hebrews or anything. I mean, there are no rules, no nothing, no anything, right? But God is in communication with them through the prophets, right? And constantly trying them to, you know, hey, guys, why are you messing? You know, you don't have to do this. You don't have to be, you know, I love you. That should be enough, you know, come on. And he waits and waits and waits. And like I keep saying, God is like a guy who has a bad girlfriend, right? Who steals his cigarettes and his loose change. And so you have to realize that, what's her name? It's a character actress who basically is the mother of Israel. Isis, not ISIS, Aisha. And she's a handmaid to the queen, and the queen falls out of favor, and she's the head handmaid. She's real good looking, really smart, always there, always very dependable. And the king says, so he makes her queen, right? But one of the counselors in the king's cabinet there basically says, oh, they're these Hebrew people, we got to get rid of them, they're really a drag. And so he talks him into like killing them all. And so the king makes a edict, and so he doesn't push it, he just tells his guys, you know, kind of tell them this is it, and if they want to get out of town, you don't have to kill them, just get them out of town. And so Aisha, who's basically Jewish, right? She's the queen. And so she prays to God just like Daniel did. And she's kind of before Daniel, I think. And so, but bottom line, she sees everything that's God. She's very good at saying, when the king says, "Hey, we need to do this right away," she goes, "Well, I have to prepare." She's always preparing. So when she goes to do it, she's got it all taken care of. So she doesn't have to worry. She doesn't have to be, angst out about it, right? So anyway, how about that blue line? That's that line between our carnal self and our spirit self, right there. Right? And so here's the day that right about now, Jesus would still be getting tortured, and they're getting him ready to drag his cross through town and up on the hill where they're going to basically kill him. And he is going to die for our mortal sin, and why Jesus, who is God, he's not just Sonny Boy. No, he is God. God came down. The Godhead itself could not, show up. Can show up like a burning bush or something, but as a human being and experience the human experience, So God in flesh had to come down as the Messiah, Jesus, right? Elohim, right? And so his, God's existence, the Jesus thing wasn't just those 3 years, it was his whole friggin' life, right? And so he had been preparing just like Aisha did, right? And so that's why I always liked Lent, and Ramadan is the Muslim version of Lent. And Muslims are Christians on steroids. I know my Methodist brothers, my Catholic brothers and sisters, they get upset. But just look, they basically, the Quran is the Old and New Testament, right? They believe in Jesus. They just don't like to call him God because they say there's one God, right? And then there's this other guy over here. So they do say he is the grooviest human we ever had. It'd be nice, we're going to shoot to try and be like him. It'd be nice if Christians did that. They don't. They just, worship the book. Really, that's an icon. That's a false god. The Bible is not God. It's God's words. It's more like a owner's manual, right? And a really good, novel, right? I mean, all my novels. I'm writing 18 novels now. Why? Because I can. And if God wants them to be the biggest thing since Harry Potter, they will be. If not, I'm enjoying writing them, and I'm writing them for God, right? So he enjoys me writing them. I can hear him chuckle all the frigging time. I write, and pretty much everything I do, God chuckles at because, like Wednesday, I woke up dead. Normally, I wake up dead around 8 o'clock, but I woke up dead around 3. I thought I had to piss or take a crap or something, and I couldn't even move to do that. And so, guys my age, like Donnie, you kind of crap in your pants all the time. Well, I don't because I have a good sense of it, and my diet I'm very careful with. And certain things make me crap, and so if I eat prunes, if I eat 5 or 6 prunes, about 8 hours later, I have a good dump, right? So I'm a smart monkey, so I don't take the prunes at a time where I'm going to have to take a good dump late at night. But if I do, I can feel it. I wake up, I, go take care of business. But this morning I woke up on Wednesday and really couldn't. And it was one of those things, and, I wasn't breathing and I wasn't seeing, and I prayed, and I was supposed to go have some tests done, right? So they were expecting me at the hospital. But I was going to blow it off if it rained. So I'm in bed. I can't breathe. I can't see. I can't move. I said, well, I'm just going to try and turn over and go back to sleep. And then all of a sudden the rain came. I said, oh, good. See, the rain's coming. I'm going to just go to sleep. And so I couldn't turn over, so I'm just laying on my back, and it's raining really hard, making a lot of noise in the man cave. And then I said, "Oh man, do I have to go there in the rain?" And all of a sudden, should I just stay here and die, or just stay here and I'll get better, or what should I do? And all of a sudden, it stopped raining. And then my alarm clock went off, and I had been, lying there, not being able to breathe or see or breathe or move for about an hour. I thought it was like 5 minutes or so, but it was an hour. And so my alarm clock went off, which gave me, because it was annoying, it gave me the impetus to move over and turn it off, right? And so I then sat up. I then put my pants on one leg at a time, and short story long, I got myself to my friend's beater, who left it so I could go to this doctor appointment. And I drove there, and I don't drive um, at night because I can see pretty good, like I see now. But it's like at night, it'll be really dark. My eyes like open wide, and then a car will come. I'll get headlights in my face, and my eyes will. I can't see for about a minute. So if you're driving in a mountain range and it's raining and foggy, and you can't see for a minute, not good. So anyway, I got in the car and I just said, "Okay, God, so far so good. I'm doing what you want me to do." So I did, and I made it to. It was an interesting adventure, and I made it in time. And I got there, and it was like they saw me drive up. I was the first one. They were just opening the door. They came out with a wheelchair. They came and got me, wheeled me in, signed me in, and I took 5 hours to get tested. Right? I keep saying, "Oh, you need open heart surgery," but I've had the problem that they want to fix my whole life. So I go, "Well, I've had it my whole life. What's the problem?" Right? So anyway, um, so I went through all that. I'll go see my cardiologist in a week or two. But my eyes still are screwed up, and I had them operated on about a week or two ago. Normally, it should be a little bit. I mean, I can see, but I got a lot of floaters and gooky eyes, and anyway. So, but that's just you're getting old, and I have I took care of my parents for 28 years, so pretty much have everything they have. Right? And one thing I have is God has always been at my back, always taking care of it. From early, from once I was a little boy. Once I saw ant when I was 2 or 3 in my mom's laundry basket. That was me talking to God. And from ever then, I've had that sense of well-being, whatever God. And all I have to do is think of God, right? And that sense of well-being, and there it is, right now. So I'm gonna right now send it off to you so you can feel what it's like. So all those who watch it later, just kind of take a big breath in, hold it, and let it out slowly. And that breath you're breathing in is God's prana. That's what animates our bags, because you are not your body. Your body is just a bag of dirty water. And what gives it life is God. And that love is through God's grace comes to us in faith. Now, we don't have faith, it's given to us. And when you realize your animation, your consciousness, not your self-conscious or your conscious mind, or your conscious intent. Well, conscious intent is getting close to consciousness, because you're having a conscious intent about having God's consciousness, right? So, it'll be interesting, as because I know I have a limited warranty, and so I'm sure I'm going to be doing this one day, and then all of a sudden, I'm gonna be like that, and that'll be it. And you'll be able to watch me die. So that should be a big motivation for people to watch the show. You know, we could advertise that. You know, on the YouTube advertising thing, Google could put up a big watch. Oh, Bob die. And that's what people did on this Friday. They watched Jesus die. Now, I'm not Jesus. I'm not even John the Baptist. You know, I'm Al Bob. You know, a YouTube sensei guru / you know, storyteller, and don't believe a word I say. You know, and but we're all, you know, our spirit is God. Right? We're not God. God's in us. Right? And we do this co-creation of love's co-creation, right? We do this work in progress, right? And we are God's reflection. You know, God made us in his image and likeness, right? And we're the reflection. And so this gives God an ability to have an experience, right? And, you know, of all the things that all God's creatures, they're all God's creatures, and they're all really great in what they're doing, because they're doing what they're supposed to be doing. Humans, not so much. Why is that? Because we have the ability to manifest, make things happen. And all the other animals and creatures and phyla and plants, and they just do what they're designed to do. You know, they don't really. And you have to realize that all animals, they have a consciousness of themselves. They feel love, they feel anger, they feel fear. They have all those things. They have languages. They have, some of them have opposable thumbs. Some of them make tools. A lot of them have very sophisticated languages, you know. Whales and dolphins and entities like that. You know, the guys who are in those nuclear submarines, they're down there with these hydrophones for the last 100 years and recording every single noise that's down there. So when they're trying to be as quiet as they can, and they hear a noise, they know what kind of animal it is, how far it is, what it's doing. I mean, they have a database you can't friggin' believe. And they have tried to get those animals to do stuff for them. And those animals will play with them. They love to play, but, you know, they know enough about what we do to say, man, what, war? You want me to carry you, be a suicide drone? What are you, nuts? So that's a good side about the animals, because if they had the kind of ability to manifest their upsetness with us, we'd be toast. Just insects alone, you know, what we do to insects. They ever said, you know, if the ants and cockroaches ever said, okay, let's get rid of these guys, that'd be it. We'd be going in a day or two, right? And that's, you know, if God ever wanted to get rid of us, that's, you know, how it would be. You know, we'd be attacked by the cockroach, because people have no idea how many cockroaches and ants are. You know, I, as an electrician, played around in the bowels of New York City, you know, and these transformer vaults that are in the streets, you know, and you have to kind of make a hole from the building you're working on into that vault so the utility company can bring the power into the building. They bring it into the building, put it on one side of the meter, you take care of everything else. But as a master electrician, and like into pretty much have everything from the vault into the building, into the bus of the meters, you know, they want you to do everything. So, you know, if you're a master electrician and you're bringing new electricity into a building, you have to, you know, they don't want to dig the hole. They don't want to smash the foundation. They don't want to do any of that. All they want to do is make a connection from their system to that bus. That's it. And they have, you know, they have these things called Edison buses, right? You know, they have, you know, you buy from a big distributor this set, you know, if you're going to have this kind of electricity in a building, Edison said, you go to the engineer, they tell you what you should use, right? And then, you know, they will kind of tell the manufacturer, okay, for this job, blah, 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 Here's what they need. Manufacture it, charge them. So the engineer of Edison or whatever utility, they do that. They do the engineering because they want it the way they want it, right? You, the master electrician, have to do it that way. So I've been a lot underground, and there was a disco I brought to life called the Tunnel Club, and it was a old underground tunnel of the railroad, and so I went down. I was one of the first people. The guy bought this chunk of property that had the tunnel and the building on top, and basically, he had me and the designer and a few other people go take a look, and we came up with the idea. We gave him the price, and we went from there. And so, I had to bring juice in there and distribute it and all the rest, right? So I was there for a good long time, and and girls who proteges, my assistants, my people who are going to become electricians, they would take it. We could do whatever we wanted. The electricians always get to do whatever they want. And so a lot of these guys, we go down into that tunnel and go further and further into down, the underground where the mole people live. So I went down there with them and took a look at it and said, And but so I had a lot of experience being down there, right? And those people down there. And I remember coming into a vault that was covered. It was like maybe 12 feet high by 10 by 10, right? And there were these transformers on one side, Edison high voltage coming through, and it was like filled to the top over the transformers, over everything with cockroaches, right? And that's just one of these millions of these vaults all over New York City and the boroughs. And it was filled to the brim, right? So, I went down and looked at it. And then I, came back up and called Edison and said, "Hey, let's have our little meeting. Let's meet over at this place. I have some bagels and coffee for you, and then we'll go down." And so we did, and we went in there. I said, "So when this is your vault?" And they said, "Yeah, we have this problem." I said, "How much of a problem is?" Because I've seen cockroaches everywhere, but not like that, right? I said, "They're in the transformer. How can that?" They said, "Well, they like the hum. I don't know what it is, but." And so, and that's us. We are those cockroaches, right? So if they ever wanted to get, if they ever said, "Oh, we're tired of these humans," would have us on, and if God ever wanted to get rid of it, he wouldn't have to hit it with an asteroid like he did to the reptiles. So anyway, here it is, the day that Jesus sacrificed himself for us, right? And Jesus was God, so God actually did it. It was just, see, people get really bent out of shape about the whole Trinity thing, and in the Muslims too. They want one God, in the Old Testament, there's only one God. So having Spirit and Sonny Boy, it's like, huh? So they believe Jesus was the best human ever made, and was truly doing God's what he wanted. And the Prophet Muhammad said that. You read the Quran, Jesus is there. They have the Old Testament, New Testament, and then they have their little section, just like the guy who wrote the End of Days part, Revelations, or whatever that is. It's just a comic book, So anyway, what time is it? Let's see what time it is. Get a little more heat in here.
Have complications in the pregnancy to believe that and so just the bigger picture here is just the medical complications that this leads to, the fact that this is unclear, the fact that this is going to force people to then try to find where they can get abortion access or just get medical attention to their needs in another state. And so this is, I think, some of the things kind of laid out, just what you're seeing in Texas, even though it's only happening in one state, that this is fearful of what advocacy groups say that could happen in other states, that they kind of try to take up these abortion bans.
This is confusion for patients. This is confusion for physicians. Joe Biden invited women who fled Texas to get her needed abortion at the State of the Union address to highlight that politically. If the physician board, medical, won't do it, who's to do it?
And that is the question there, right? It's the fact that this panel was elected and was composed to put together to make it more clear and have these guidelines. And a lot of part of the decision is to tell the patient what they can and cannot do, medically speaking. And so the fact that they don't have the necessary protocols in place, guidance.
All through the Bible, you see situations like this. It's called the Pharisees. These are lawyers of the Bible, right? And they just do it. When Jesus rode into Jerusalem and everyone was calling him Messiah, and he's, on a donkey, and they got all the palm fronds that he's riding on. It's like red carpet, right? And so the rabbis and the priests and the Pharisees and the high hippie holies all said, "Oh, wow, this guy's great. He's going to be our poster boy, and now we can control." And and so they came over and patted him on the back. "Good to see you, buddy. You're doing a great job. Let's have lunch," And so Jesus goes to have lunch with them on Tuesday or Wednesday. And they're all ready to hey, here's the contract. You're going to be, the Messiah. And we're going to, you're going to do concerts and healings. And we're going to charge at the door for that. And we're going to have, our own, scriptures that we're going to put your picture on, and we're going to sell it, and we're going to have these things called prayer claws, and Jesus underpants, and it's going to be great. And Jesus kind of said, threw the money changers out of the temple, and that's what those guys were, right? And after he did that, and everyone saw him do that, and everyone said he's the Messiah, they said, "Oh man, we got rid of this. It's going to be bad for business." And so that's what they did. Pontius Pilate didn't want to have. He washed his hands with the whole thing, right? Give us Barabbas. So anyway, so that's today, the Give Us Barabbas Day, right? And Jesus had to carry his own cross, just like we have to carry our own cross. Our every day is our cross, right? And so one guy, just couldn't quite make it, so someone helped him. A good Samaritan, right? And the Samaritans were the lowest on the totem pole. They weren't even Jews. They were, the lowest on the totem pole with the class structure. And they always seemed to help people out because they were always in a hard place, and they wanted to show that, they were empathetic. People who are sympathetic. A lot of Christians are really sympathetic, really great sympathy. "Oh, isn't that too bad? Get out of my way. I'm in a rush." That's sympathy. Empathy is, man, I've been there, right? So any male who makes laws about women's health care and their bodies, not too Christian, right? Like I live in Tennessee, and North Carolina is right over there, and Virginia is right over there, and Kentucky is right up there. And those four states have, they have no Medicare, whatever. I always forget. Whatever it is that if you're a kid, you get health care, right? But your parents don't, right? They have to have insurance, right? They get it from their work, but no work does it. That used to be the case, but they don't do that anymore, right? So instead of back in the 50s when they started making these laws, they should have just said, okay, just to make it simple, everyone gets health care, because that's what all of the rest of the industrial world does. And so does a good deal of the third world, right? Like when I was in Ireland, when it was a third world country before it became super duper rich, back in the 70s, I had an impacted tooth, right? And I just ignored it because pain, once I learned how to meditate and go into state, I can deal with what's in my body. I can deal with, and then if I'm a good boy and eat right and exercise, do all those things, then I can get myself into homeostasis. Now, for a good 20 years, I totally went off the reservation and just had the most hedonistic, excessive life you could imagine. And then I died, right? And I was having my life review, and I already had a couple of those. I already knew what it was like, so I wasn't like really scared or upset or anything. And everyone was patting me on the back and telling me what a great job I had done. And I was 62-ish when I went 2000, I was 64. And so 2014, I was 64. And so basically, everybody was saying, "You're right." And where I wasn't it wasn't bad, it wasn't good. It was the basement of the Holy Redeemer School cafeteria. And this kind of greenish, the green light that's from the Matrix, the first Matrix movie. That's what it looked like. Everyone was kind of green, and there were balloons and signs saying "Welcome Home" and party hats, and people were patting me on the back, and they had these big pan cakes, right? Sheet cakes, and it looked like they're made out of chocolate and had green icing, right? And when I looked at it closer, it was made of vomit diarrhea. That green sawdust that in schools when kids vomit and they throw it down and then sweep it up. That's what the cakes were made out of. So when I looked at it closer, it's like, oh, that's what that is. It's green vomit diarrhea. And there were these sheet cakes on every table, and all saying "Welcome home." You're doing a great job, or great. No, it's a great job. Welcome home. That's what it's a great job. Welcome home. And then God, didn't come up to me and pat me on the back, but I got the sense through Metatron. Whenever I meet God in person, in my dreams, not in person like this, but in person in my dreams, it's Metatron that shows up and talks. And he said, "Well, you're doing a great job." That, doing, meaning I'm still doing it, and there's more to be done. So wait a minute. I thought I got home. I thought I could take a rest. I thought this is it. And they said, and he said, "Well, you can. This is, just all up to you. All of this has always been up to you." And that is the story, kids. It's up to you. Why we're here is because we can manifest whatever we want. We don't have to settle for this crap shit. I mean, look where I live. Let's see, which way can I show you? Look at this. It's a freaking Garden of Eden, right? And we're screwing it up. I've been here 22 years or so, and the first 20 years was great, or first 19 years were great. It's like nobody was here. There was nobody here. And then, the pandemic came, and all the cockroaches from California, Texas, Florida, and all around that are now gigantic cities like Charlotte, North Carolina, places in New Jersey, New York. They all came, Boston. They all came here to launder their money, to buy really cheap real estate and make some big houses and then sell them and basically launder. There's two big corporations that bought up 94% of everything, right? And they bought up national forest land, which you're not supposed to be able to do, but somebody got paid off. Some senator changed the law. And so environment, and so this place is so sensitive. That's why I picked it. It's like being in heaven. And I set it up so I wouldn't have to have any money, so I don't have any money, because when you don't have any money, you're not worrying about money, right? I always have just what I need. So, and everything gets taken care of when I need. Like my experience at the hospital, meaning I had another little thing with them about a year ago, and they were so incompetent, so terrible. And I just went along for the ride. I didn't get upset. I just kept, I went in for a test and said, "You're having open heart surgery today." So they took me up to the ICU to get me ready to have open heart surgery. And, they put me in this room, and it had a shower in it. I hadn't taken a shower in a year. I don't have a shower. When it rains, I go outside and soak myself up. So, and it depends on, you don't need, back in the day when we were cavemen, they didn't have showers. So I love showers, that nice warm water coming on you. It relaxes every muscle. Oh, no, that's great stuff. But I don't have one, right? Because to do that, I'd have to have a lot of other extraneous stuff to have it. I do have a hose, and in the summertime, it's a 200-foot black hose. It's about, that little hose for 200 feet is probably, I don't know, 15 gallons. And it has a fine spray. So when I spray myself, it's warm. It's hot. It's almost too hot. And then I suds up and I spray, I don't put lots of, so it stays. So I do have hot water in the summertime. Anyway, and my dishes and clothes, I just put the clothes on the clothesline and I put the dishes out on a table and scrub them up a little bit. And then it rains hard and that's good. It does the job. And then I leave it in the sun. The ultraviolet kills everything. It's right, the way it should be. So, I'm in this hospital and I said, oh, wow, a shower. So I just go, just drop my clothes, get in there and take like a good 20-minute shower. And this, I hear this knocking, and I left the door to the hallway open, right? Because they left it open, I left it open. So I go there, and this woman shows up and knocks on the door. And because she sees my clothes on, she kind of gets by the bathroom door and kind of, hi, I'm here to give you food. Have you eaten yet? I said, oh, no. And she goes, oh, what do you want? We have fish. We have, meatloaf and something else, chicken. And so I say, I'll take all three. She goes, oh, that's great. You'll be my last one, and I can leave my roller thing here, and I can just go home. I said, great, no problem. And she goes, and I'll leave this other thing here. There's, this jug, this cool drinks in there, and here's a big thing of coffee, and we have cakes up over here, and just knock yourself out. So I do, right? And so I come out and I'm dripping wet and there's one towel. That's it. So I just kind of, but I'm dripping and I had spaghetti. They had all and really nice, hospital food, but vegetables, mashed potatoes. So I eat and this all this stuff's on plates. So I take the plates and I just put it on my chest and I sit in this ICU, lie in this ICU bed. And before she goes, I said, listen, this TV, how do I turn that on? She got the thing, she turned it on. So I'm flipping through it and bingo, there's porno. So, porno in the hospital? Really unbelievable. And so the porno's there on the big screen. I'm eating the meatloaf and eating the spaghetti and it's getting all over me and the bed and the floor every which way. And so I just kind of drag the thing over to the side of the bed so I don't have to get out of the bed. And I just eat everything and it's all over me. And it's like, naked and there's salad dressing. So I put it on my schwanz and start, enjoying the porno. And the door is open and people are walking by and it's like spaghetti all over the walls, so floors every which way. And, and you kind of have to poke your head into because the bed's over in the corner over there. So I had a little bit of privacy, but I didn't close the door. And so I hear people walking by and some people poke my head in and because I can see the porno and they kind of, maybe I'll come in and jack up. And so they come in and there I am with the salad dressing. And so, I'm just having a good old time because I know covering myself in food and eating it all, they can't take me into the operating room, right? Because you can't do that, right? And they want to crack my have open tortures. I said, no, I'm here just for this test. Here, I have the thing from the computer says you're here for, So anyway, I basically just went along for the ride, had this great meal, took a really nice hot shower, and I'm enjoying the the salad dressing and the porno. And so these three doctors walk in, and one is the guy who's ready to put the needle in my arm to knock me out, and the other is the surgeon to tell me what's going on. The other one's like got their computer and they're making sure X, Y, and Z is going to pay for all this, right? And they're like checking out all the paperwork. Anyway, I walk in and they're just because there I am with the salad dressing and covered in food, and food's every which way. And the guy who's going to stick a needle in my arm goes, "Have you eaten anything?" I said, "Yeah, I eaten everything. It's all over the place. There's some spaghetti, there's some meatloaf, there's the chicken, you know." And they're like, "How dare you do that? Don't you know we have it all set up? This is like," I said, "So? I'm here for a test. See, I'm holding the doctor's prescription. See?" And the said, "But on the computer it says that you're here for," it's. I said, "Look what the doctor wants. I don't care what your computer says. Look at this, you know." And he said, "Well, why'd you waste?" I said, "I've been trying to tell you. I'm just here for." Well, oh, and they go up. He goes, "We have to think about this, right?" And so they go up and they send in these two higher echelon bureaucrats, right, in suits. One's a woman, one's a guy, right? And so they start really screaming at me, and they can't figure out to turn the porno off, right? They get the thing, and the porno's just going to different, uh, porno movies, and it says, "And this will cost $15," and and so. Well, I'm still like picking my teeth and eating, chicken legs and wiping, grease off of me and eating it. Anyway, so they get all upset and they go out, and this other guy comes in and he goes, "We're calling the police." And I said, "Please do." And he looks at me. I said, "Yes, and I'm going to tell them that you have sexually accosted me, forced me to watch porno. It's in your computer, you know, and made me eat food because your people brought it to me. I didn't go down and steal it from the kitchen." And he's just going like this, "And I'm going to tell him that you put your schwanz up my butt." And I kind of greased up my butt with some more salad dressing, and he ran out. Right? And then a more calm but higher level executive came in and said, "Now, Bob, we straighten this out. You're here for a test. Why don't you go take a shower, clean yourself off, put your clothes on, and we'll roll you down and have your test." That's what they did. So when I showed up at the hospital on Wednesday, man, did they treat me nice. Like I was royalty. I mean, I got the people who did the test weren't just some stupid technician who just learned how to do it yesterday. The lady who did my sonic grams of my heart and really everything from like they did a CAT scan of my full body, no matter what's wrong with me, if that thing's going to see it. They did, the sonogram of every square inch of my heart and my lungs and pretty much everything from here down to my schwanz, right? And that took 2 hours. And I was like looking at the screen so I could see it. I know what it means, and I would ask her questions. She actually answered my questions. And, and so then I went to they did a radiological, they put radioactivity inside of me. I don't know if I'm glowing still. And they put me in this machine that, and it covered from my toes to my head, every square inch looking, and the dye goes to certain things. And I did that. And after 3.5 hours of that, they said, "So you hungry?" Because I didn't eat anything, right? I said, yeah, I'm hungry. So they actually took me to lunch, got me lunch, and then brought me back. And they did another one because I still had the radiation in me, and they wanted me to eat stuff so they could see which way it was going. So they basically did another. They didn't put any more juice in me. I guess they did put a little more juice in me, and they did a radiological thing. So and I did a stress test too. And there was a doctor there, not just a technician, and she was going, "Well, you've got this condition, so we're not." I said, "No, you're going to stress test me. Stress test me." So they did. So they had me jogging along. I said, my legs are screwed, so just a fast walk at a pretty steep incline." And so she did that, and well, we'll only do it for 20 seconds. I said, "No, keep going. get everything so I don't have to do this again, right? She goes, okay, that'll be 2.5 minutes. I said, no problem. So I did it. I did feel a little not winded at all. But the thing that really, I mean, the lady with the ultrasound thing, man, that lady had like vice grip hands. I mean, she was pushing that wand against my chest, like, my ribs still hurt. Anyway, so they said, well, you should get this operation. I said, what, you're going to do it here? They said, well, we could, but no, we want to send you to Duke. I said, Duke, that's like top of the line. She goes, yep. And she goes, I said, so who's paying for that? Oh, well, we will because you're so poor. We'll make money out of treating you because you're so poor. And I said, oh, okay, that sounds good. I said, well, how am I going to get there? I don't have a car. And she goes, well, we can come and get you and we can fly you there. I said, what do you mean? 50 grand a pop. And she goes, well, it's like a bus. Yes, there'll be a person who will be on a stretcher, and that guy's insurance will pay for that flight. But there's usually 4 or 5 seats that are empty, right? There's usually a guy on the stretcher, 2 or 3 medical people, and still after that, there's 2 or 3 seats that you could sit there, right? You're not a big heavy guy. You'd be fine. So we have 2 or 3 helicopters going to Duke every day. And these guys are making some serious money. So we have our own helicopter. So anyway, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it in the summertime, and I'm going to do it, in the Cadillac version. So, but I haven't seen my cardiologist, so I have to go see him, get him, because he was, after I had the first time done with the, salad dressing and all that. I mean, everyone at hospital heard that story. When I would roll in, I went 2 other times for other tests, and when I roll in, they were like, "Oh, that's the guy." So that is very close to carrying my own cross, right? But I do it in my own cheeky monkey kind of way. Jesus did too. See, the most amazing thing about Jesus, why he is, beyond a shadow of a doubt, Messiah, was that the Old Testament, 4,000 years before he showed up there in Bethlehem, there were all these things that said that he would be, who he was born through, what family, what daughter, where he would be born. I mean, there were many times. There were about 400 things. Once, from insemination, from the angel telling Mary, you're going to have a birth without a guy. God's coming into this world through you. So that's when you read the Bible and see all of the amazing things that go down, right? And when you read the Bible, you realize that it's not just some made up shit like my writing. My writing is interesting. It's kind of informative about a lot of different things. God somehow manipulates me to write the stuff and do the stuff I do, and that's fine. But I'm no Messiah, right? I'm just doing the gig that I said I'd do, right? And I keep doing it, right? So yeah, my little burping thing isn't I'm having a heart attack here. What it is that all I get is $70 of food stamps. That's how much food. So I kind of, and I have no refrigeration. So I kind of I'm a holler cook. Whatever I made yesterday, I leave it in the big frying pan, cover it up, and it's been so cold, not a problem. My man cave is kind of like a refrigerator. As we get towards the summer, it'll be a little more problematic. And so I'm eating. I had for breakfast eggs made from the stuff that I've been cooking in that pan for the last 2 weeks, right? So as long as it's not mossy and doesn't have that sweet kind of vinegary smell and has that zippy taste, yeah, I can eat it, right? But the closer it gets to that, more my gut goes, what is that? Should we kill him? Should we kill him yet? So anyway, here we are. What time is it? How much juice we got left? Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna go. I will come back this afternoon and tell you more stories. Okay, hope you enjoy this.